David Letterman hosted for over 3 decades. He interviewed thousands of guests, but only a select few became part of his inner circle. These weren't just people promoting movies or books. They were guests who made Dave drop his guard and truly enjoy himself. With them, the show stopped feeling like work and started feeling like hanging out with friends in front of millions. Today we're counting down the 10 guests David Letterman loved more than anyone else. Jerry Seinfeld, the comedy peer.
Jerry Seinfeld is a very likable and inventive young comic who has been working all across the United States in nightclubs and on other television programs. Yes, there are other television programs. This is his first appearance on our show, and we're very glad he's here.
Jerry Seinfeld's relationship with Letterman evolved into genuine friendship built on mutual respect as comedy professionals. Their final era appearances leaned into peer-to-peer status. On April 24, 2015, Seinfeld and Letterman swapped interviewer and guest roles so Seinfeld could grill Dave about retiring. Seinfeld called Dave's quitting decision the stupidest thing he'd ever heard. The segment worked because it turned the show into 2 comics analyzing comedy and ego in real time. Dave loved that Seinfeld could challenge him on air without it feeling hostile, just 2 pros sparring. Seinfeld treated Letterman like an equal, not an authority figure. That approach was rare. Most guests deferred to Dave's power. Seinfeld pushed back. Dave appreciated that Seinfeld never pandered or played the promotion game. Their conversations felt more like podcast discussions than traditional interviews. Seinfeld would analyze why certain bits worked or didn't. Dave responded with his own theories. The audience watched 2 comedy minds dissect the craft. Behind the scenes, Dave told producers that Seinfeld's segments required different preparation. Instead of questions, you needed topics for them to explore. Seinfeld appeared frequently enough that they built shorthand, references to previous conversations or inside jokes. That continuity made regular viewers feel rewarded. Seinfeld also understood the show's rhythm perfectly. He knew when Dave was setting up a bit, when to interrupt, when to let silence hang. That mastery came from his own sitcom experience. Dave valued Seinfeld's success. He genuinely celebrated when Seinfeld became huge. No jealousy or competition. Their friendship transcended professional rivalry. Seinfeld returned the respect by continuing to appear even after he didn't need the exposure. That loyalty meant everything to Dave. When Dave announced retirement, Seinfeld was emotional on camera. Their bond was real. The swapped roles segment became iconic because it revealed their dynamic. Seinfeld felt comfortable enough to interrogate Dave. Dave trusted Seinfeld enough to be vulnerable. That mutual trust created television gold. Robin Williams, the improv genius.
Beyond being a very talented man and a good friend and a gentleman, I'm sorry, like everybody else, I had no idea that the man was in pain, that the man was suffering. But what a guy, Robin Williams.
Robin Williams' first late show visit from the Ed Sullivan Theater on August 31, 1993, set the tone for decades of appearances. The official clip notes it's his first time in that theater, and he likes what he sees, which immediately triggered his rapid-fire riffing. Fans loved Williams on Letterman because the interview could turn into improv at any moment. Dave's later tribute emphasized decades of friendship, underscoring that this wasn't just a booking, it was a relationship. Williams could transform any question into a new bit instantly. He never needed setup or preparation. Williams would walk out and start creating. Dave loved that fearless spontaneity. Their chemistry was electric because Williams fed off Dave's energy. Letterman gave Williams room to work, never interrupting the flow. Their segments felt like watching jazz musicians improvise together. Williams could slide from Shakespearean voices to modern celebrities in seconds. Dave would throw out a simple prompt, and Williams would build entire worlds from it. The audience watched in real time as Williams created comedy that could never be replicated. Behind the scenes, producers learned to just turn Williams loose. No structure, no plan, just point cameras and let him go. Dave told staff that Williams was simultaneously the easiest and hardest guest to book. Easy because he'd always say yes. Hard because you had to trust chaos. Williams treated the couch like a stage, and Dave like a scene partner. Their best moments came when Williams would riff on current events or random objects on the desk. Dave learned early to just point at things and let Williams run. A pencil could become 5 minutes of material. That improvisational genius amazed Dave, who understood how difficult it was. Williams also brought genuine warmth to every appearance. Between bits, he'd be sincere and vulnerable. That range from manic comedy to heartfelt honesty kept segments unpredictable. Dave valued that Williams never lost his humanity despite the fame. Off camera, they were friends. Williams would call Dave between appearances just to talk. That personal connection was visible on screen. When Williams died, Dave's tribute was raw raw and emotional. The loss was personal. Williams had been part of Dave's life for over 20 years. Their friendship transcended the show. Dave later said, Williams represented everything great about live television: the danger, the spontaneity, and magic of watching someone create in the moment. Bill Murray, the chaos creator.
Bill Murray has become one of the top box office draws in show business. And besides that, he's a very funny man, and it's a pleasure to have him on our first program. Ladies and gentlemen,
Bill Murray opened Letterman's very first late-night episode by telling Dave, "I'm going to make your life a living hell." That promise defined their relationship for the next 30 years. Murray delivered on that threat repeatedly by spray painting Dave's desk lighting props on fire and generally treating the show like his personal playground. On August 30th, 1993, Murray spray painted Dave on Letterman's desk during the first Late Show taping. That wasn't scripted or planned. Murray just did it because he knew it would make great television. Dave loved that fearlessness. Most guests were terrified of making mistakes or breaking format. Murray actively sought to destroy format. He understood that Letterman's show worked best when it felt dangerous and unpredictable. Their chemistry was built on mutual trust. Dave trusted Murray to create chaos that would still be entertaining. Murray trusted Dave to roll with whatever insanity he brought. Behind the scenes, staff knew that Murray appearances required extra preparation because anything could happen. Producers learned to build in buffer time and have backup plans, but Dave insisted on booking him anyway because Murray delivered moments you couldn't get anywhere else. The spray paint incident became legendary because it captured everything Dave loved about live television: his rule-breaking and genuine surprise. Murray appeared through multiple eras of Letterman's career, from NBC to CBS, through format changes and time slot shifts. That loyalty mattered to Dave, who valued consistency. Murray could have gone anywhere, but he kept coming back. Their friendship was obvious in how comfortable they were with silence. Most talk show conversations are carefully managed to avoid dead air. With Murray, Dave would let pauses hang, knowing Murray would fill them with something unexpected. That comfort level only comes from decades of friendship. Dave later said, Murray was the guest who best understood what the show was supposed to be. Not a marketing platform, but a comedy laboratory. Tom Hanks, the ultimate professional. Tom Hanks made 60 appearances on Letterman, spanning from April 4th, 1984 through Dave's final week. That longevity tells you everything about their relationship. Hanks was the rare A-list movie star who genuinely enjoyed the talk show game. He didn't treat appearances as obligations. He came ready to play and make the show better. On June 30th, 2011, Hanks surprised Julia Roberts and Letterman by dropping in during a newlywed game segment where Dave was testing Roberts' knowledge of Hanks. The surprise was genuine. Roberts had no idea he was coming. That kind of spontaneity required Hanks to trust Dave completely. Most movie stars would never risk looking foolish or being caught off guard. Hanks understood that those moments made great television. Dave valued Hanks because he combined movie star sincerity with complete willingness to be the punchline. Hanks could tell heartfelt stories about his kids, then immediately pivot to absurd comedy. That range kept segments unpredictable. Behind the scenes, Dave told producers that Hanks was the ideal guest. Professional, prepared, but never rigid. Hanks remembered crew members' names and asked about their families on return visits. Dave noticed that kind of thing. He believed you could judge someone's character by how they treated people who couldn't help their career. Hanks passed that test every time. Their conversations felt like catching up with an old friend. Dave would reference things they'd discussed off camera, which was a sign of genuine personal connection. With most guests, everything stayed professional and distant. With Hanks, the friendship was real. Dave appreciated that Hanks never changed as he became more famous. He treated his 60th appearance with the same enthusiasm as his first. That consistency over 3 decades built enormous goodwill. When Dave announced his retirement, Hanks was one of the first calls he made. Their friendship outlasted the show itself. Regis Philbin, the Energizer Bunny. Letterman publicly called Regis the best guest we ever had, and that wasn't hyperbole. Regis appeared over 150 times, which is an absolutely staggering number, even for late-night television. What made Regis special was his complete fearlessness about being the butt of Dave's jokes. He could take a punch better than anyone. Dave would mock his voice, his energy, his constant talking, and Regis would laugh harder than the audience. That willingness to be roasted without getting defensive was rare among celebrities who usually guarded their images carefully. Regis treated every segment like live sport. He came ready to play, never phoning it in even after decades of appearances. The chemistry between them was built on genuine affection disguised as mockery. Dave once unveiled a painting of himself with Regis and Oprah as a bit demonstrating how much Regis meant to the show. Behind the scenes, Dave told producers that booking Regis meant the night would work no matter what else happened. If the monologue bombed or another guest was boring Regis Sedaris in the second segment saved everything. That reliability was gold in live television. Regis also understood Dave's rhythm perfectly. He knew when to interrupt, when to let Dave riff, when to play straight man. That takes years to develop, and most guests never figured it out. Their relationship extended beyond professional courtesy into real friendship. Dave genuinely enjoyed Regis's company, which was visible in his body language. When Regis walked through the curtain, Dave's entire demeanor shifted. He relaxed and smiled in a way he didn't with most guests. The painting bit worked as comedy, but also as tribute. Dave was acknowledging publicly what everyone already knew. Regis wasn't just a guest, he was family. Steve Martin, the anti-talk show guest. Steve Martin perfected the art of mocking talk show conventions while still being a great guest. On December 22, 2003, after asking Dave to tell him about his new baby, Martin theatrically feigned sleep. The bit worked because it satirized the usual promotional chatter without being mean. Dave loved that precise timing and shared understanding that the real joke was often the structure of late night itself. Martin could sabotage the interview while still delivering a perfect segment. That takes enormous skill and trust. Dave appreciated Martin's intelligence. Their conversations operated on multiple levels. The surface content was funny, but underneath was commentary on the absurdity of celebrity interviews. Martin treated every appearance as performance art. He'd bring props or commit to bizarre premises with complete seriousness. The commitment sold the comedy. Dave gave Martin freedom to experiment, knowing it would pay off. Behind the scenes, Dave told writers that Martin's segments required minimal preparation. Just point him at a premise and let him work. Martin's background in stand-up and writing meant he understood comedy structure instinctively. He could feel when a bit needed to end or when to push it further. That instinct matched Dave's own sensibility. They spoke the same comedic language. Martin also had zero ego about being the punchline. He'd make himself look foolish if it served the comedy. Dave valued that willingness to sacrifice dignity for laughs. Their relationship was built on mutual respect. Dave respected Martin's craft. Martin respected Dave's show. That professional admiration created chemistry. Martin appeared across multiple decades, proving the relationship endured. Each appearance felt fresh because Martin never repeated himself. He'd find new angles or approaches, keeping things unpredictable. Dave later said Martin was one of the few guests who genuinely surprised him. Most guests were predictable. Martin kept him guessing. Teri Garr, the all-time favorite. Letterman himself called Teri Garr his all-time favorite guest and meant it. The chemistry between them was immediate and undeniable. In a 1983 segment tied to the Oscars, Garr and Letterman riffed about her anxiety and what she might say in an acceptance speech. The bit escalated into her blunt, self-deprecating punchlines that made Dave laugh genuinely. Garr could volley with Dave like a comedian, not a movie star doing press. She was fearless, quick, and totally fine, making herself the joke if it made the segment funnier. That approach was rare among actors who usually protected their images carefully. Garr didn't care about looking perfect. She cared about being funny. Dave loved that priority. Behind the scenes, Dave would light up when producers told him Garr was booked. He knew the segment would work without effort. Their banter felt natural, like two friends teasing each other. Garr could dish it out and take it, which was crucial for Dave's style. He needed guests who could handle being needled. Garr not only handled it, she fired back. The verbal sparring created energy. Dave told friends that Garr understood comedy timing better than most professional comedians. She knew when to interrupt, when to let him finish, when to pivot. That instinct can't be taught. Garr also brought vulnerability to her appearances. She'd talk about career frustrations or personal anxieties with refreshing honesty. That realness contrasted with the polish of most celebrity interviews. Dave appreciated guests who dropped the PR facade. Garr never had talking points. She just showed up and talked. Their friendship was genuine. Dave called her between appearances just to chat. That almost never happened with guests. The professional relationship became personal. Garr represented everything Dave loved in a guest. Amy Sedaris, the weird domestic goddess. Amy Sedaris brought an energy to Letterman that no other guest could match. She grilled Dave about getting a second dog, then updated him on her destructive rabbit Tina, comparing its size to an Italian meatloaf or maybe a small roasting chicken. Fans loved her because she brought weird, specific character energy that felt homemade instead of PR managed. Sedaris treated Letterman like a neighbor she was gossiping with. Her stories about rabbits and crafts and bizarre hobbies felt authentically strange. Dave appreciated that she never tried to be a traditional celebrity. Sedaris could talk about her pets with the same intensity most guests reserve for movie promotion. The rabbit Tina became a recurring character in their conversations. Letterman would ask follow-up questions about previous visits, showing he actually listened. That attention made Sedaris feel valued. Behind the scenes, Dave told producers that Sedaris represented his favorite type of comedy: weird, personal, and completely unconcerned with coolness. Sedaris Sedaris brought props and homemade gifts, turning the couch into a craft corner. Her appearances had a lo-fi DIY quality that contrasted perfectly with slick Hollywood guests. Dave loved that she made the show feel small and intimate, even on national television. Sedaris would arrive with stories about cheese ball making or her obsession with organizing her apartment in bizarre ways. The specificity of her interests made everything funnier. Dave would try to relate, and Sedaris would go deeper into the weirdness. She once brought cupcakes she'd made that looked vaguely disturbing but tasted great. Letterman ate one on camera, knowing it would be good television. Sedaris' commitment to her eccentric lifestyle wasn't an act. Dave respected authenticity above all else. Her appearances felt like performance art disguised as celebrity interviews. The craft projects she brought ranged from disturbing to charming, often both simultaneously. Letterman would display them like precious artifacts. Sedaris treated The Late Show like her personal variety hour. She'd do characters or read from bizarre journals she kept. Dave gave her complete freedom because the results were always worth it. Their chemistry was built on mutual respect for weird comedy. Sedaris never compromised her vision to be more palatable. Dave loved that stubbornness. She represented an alternative to the polish of most celebrity guests. Her messiness and specificity made her irreplaceable in the Late Show universe. Howard Stern, the boundary destroyer. Howard Stern's relationship with Letterman evolved from antagonistic to deeply personal over decades. During Stern's May 2015 visit, he repeatedly tried to kiss Letterman goodbye, catching Dave visibly off guard. The attempted kiss became instantly iconic because it broke every talk show rule. Fans loved this because it was awkward in the exact way late night becomes memorable. Real discomfort turned into comedy. Stern pushed into classic rivalry territory by bringing up the long-running Letterman-Leno dynamic. Dave loved Stern as a guest because Stern would go places other guests wouldn't force an honest, unscripted segment. Behind the scenes, Dave told producers that Stern interviews required zero preparation. You couldn't prepare for Stern. He'd take the conversation wherever he wanted. The segments felt dangerous because Stern didn't care about the consequences. Letterman had to stay sharp, never knowing where Stern would take things. Stern could ask personal questions that would seem intrusive from other guests. Dave answered honestly because Stern had earned that access through years of appearances. The May 2015 visit became emotional because both men knew the show was ending. Stern's affection for Letterman came through despite the provocative questioning. The kiss attempt was Stern's way of expressing gratitude through chaos. Their relationship transcended typical host-guest dynamics. Stern understood Letterman in ways most guests never could. Both were outsiders who became institutions. Their conversations about fame and success felt like therapy sessions disguised as interviews. Dave opened up to Stern about anxieties he rarely discussed publicly. Stern pushed, but never crossed into cruelty. He knew exactly where the line was. The audience appreciated seeing Letterman vulnerable and real. Stern's radio background made him fearless about dead air and awkward pauses. He'd let silences hang, knowing they created tension that paid off. Dave respected Stern's interviewing skills, recognizing a fellow master. Stern made him earn every laugh. Nothing was given. The challenge energized Dave in ways scripted segments never could. Stern's final appearances together carried weight because both knew it was ending. Their goodbye felt genuine, not performative. Dave later acknowledged Stern as one of the most important guests in Late Show history. Julia Roberts, the effortlessly charming star. Julia Roberts represented everything David Letterman valued in a mega star. She was relaxed, willing to be teased, and genuinely seemed to enjoy being there. On June 30th, 2011, Letterman tested Roberts' knowledge of Tom Hanks in a newlywed game-style bit, and then Hanks unexpectedly dropped by mid-segment. Roberts' surprise felt completely genuine. The chemistry between all three created warm, familiar energy. Dave loved that Roberts played along with the game format rather than trying to steer the interview back to promotion. The segment works as a template for why she fits Letterman favorites. She let the comedy be the point. Roberts never acted like her time was too valuable for silly bits. The newlywed game format could have felt demeaning to a lesser star. Roberts committed to fully answering questions about Hanks like it mattered. Behind the scenes, Dave told producers that Roberts made his job effortless. She understood the Late Show rhythm better than most regulars. Roberts knew when to let Dave riff and when to jump in. The timing between them felt natural, unrehearsed. Roberts' movie star status never overshadowed the comedy. She'd arrive and immediately fall into the show's energy. Dave appreciated that she never demanded special treatment or topics off limits. Roberts was game for anything, which is rare at her level of fame. Roberts' appearances spanned decades, showing loyalty that Dave valued highly. She could have gone anywhere, but kept returning to Letterman. The consistency built rapport that newer guests couldn't replicate. Dave treated her like family because she'd been there through multiple eras. Roberts' laughter during segments sounded authentic, not performative. Dave could tease her without it feeling mean because she clearly enjoyed the banter. The relationship worked because Roberts trusted Letterman's instincts. She knew he'd make her look good even when making her the punchline. Roberts proved that genuine charisma charisma matters more than careful image management. Dave later called her one of the most professional guests, meaning she prioritized the show over herself. Roberts remembered it's supposed to be fun. The pressure of maintaining an image crushes most celebrities. Roberts seemed immune, carrying herself with effortless grace. Her energy lifted the entire show when she appeared. Roberts' final Late Show appearance carried emotional weight. Both knew they were closing a chapter that lasted decades. The goodbye felt bittersweet, like saying farewell to family. Dave's affection for Roberts was evident in how he looked at her during that last visit. These 10 guests shared something crucial. They made David Letterman feel like a real person instead of just a host. They brought out different, authentic sides of him. Regis made him competitive. Murray made him playful. Hanks made him warm. Martin made him intellectual. Garr made him genuinely happy. Seinfeld made him analytical. Williams made him adventurous. Sedaris made him appreciate weirdness. Stern made him vulnerable. Roberts made him comfortable. That was the real test for Dave. Could you make him drop the host mask and just be himself? Most guests couldn't. These 10 could every single time. Who do you think was Dave's absolute favorite guest of all time? And which guest would you have wanted to see on The Late Show, but never got the chance? Drop your thoughts in the comments, and if you want more stories about the golden age of late-night television, hit that subscribe button. Revisiting these moments matter.